What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with the Destiny 2 news. And in this video we're going to speak about teasers for the upcoming season reveal, and some really early teasers for fall expansion reveals. Of course, as we head on into the better end of the year for Destiny, let's talk about what to expect, but also we're going to discuss the Almighty, now visible from Earth, some of the hidden rewards associated with that, and the likelihood of some interesting spoilers, which we won't mention just yet, but also have extra info from Bungie about Season 11 and fall DLC changes, and a few other things to touch on in the video. So if you guys do enjoy this one, a rating down below, as well as any of your thoughts in the comment section is super appreciated. But now, let's get into it. So this week when we loaded up the tower, of course we were greeted by some pretty ominous music, and we pointed that out in the weekly reset, but also, what I'd missed at the time is that the Almighty is now in the sky above the last city. So, we mentioned a few weeks ago that this was fairly likely to happen, and now, if you look directly at the sun, in-game, by the way, don't get burning those eyes out guys, but pop on your one-eyed mask and squint. And it can be difficult to spot, but you'll just about see the Almighty directly in front of the sun, and it's getting very close to us indeed. But the question is, when will we actually do something about it? And of course the answer pretty much has to be by next week's reset at the very latest. Bungie also have a new season to announce, new teasers and all of that good stuff, which probably will partially happen as a result of the end of this season, so it's possible that it could happen this week, although a confusing Next Week in Destiny card did tell many players that will help Rasputin to destroy the Almighty this week. I think it's possible that that one just showed up early, so we'll have to wait and see. Although, now that we know that the Almighty is indeed visible from the last city, it's pretty interesting because a few weeks ago, spoiler alert, but we spoke about some future changes coming to the tower, and a few players had loaded into glitched instances of the tower, which appeared to have sustained some damage, so given the visibility of the Almighty already, and the fact that, yeah, Rasputin's probably gonna blow it up, it seems pretty clear at this point what's gonna happen. Another brief mention for when we actually finish the season. There's an emblem that's been sitting in the database with the Rasputin logo on it called Seraph's Wings, and the source is to witness Rasputin's full power, so that'll be a minor reward that we get alongside this next story beat. Moving on though, players are getting anxious for a reveal of Season 11 and the DLC content that we'll get on June 9th, which is the final day of this season by the way. Been a little bit of confusion about that, but Bungie's season tracker at one point showed the wrong date for the end of the season, so bear that one in mind. But yes, June 9th, so less than 2 weeks away now, and naturally that means we are on course for the reveal, but Bungie responded directly on that subject on Twitter and said it'll happen when the time is right. So, of course that could literally be any time right now, and if not in the next couple of days, we'll definitely get it next week, so stay tuned here guys, and we'll have it covered. But equally interesting, or potentially even more interesting, is that it's quite possible we're going to see another big reveal very soon, and that'll be for the fall expansion. So, Forsaken and Shadowkeep were revealed very early in June, around the 5th or 6th of June, and then the Taken King was revealed at a similar time, and normally Bungie do this to get ahead of E3. But if that schedule is maintained this year, it's going to mean that shortly after the start of the season, or even very early on next month, we could get our first actual teasers for the fall expansion. Recently we mentioned that Lance Reddick is currently recording dialogue for Commander Zavala in future DLC, but Summer Games Fest on Twitter replied, as we can see right here, and on the subject of that bigger expansion reveal, Bungie are going to be part of the Summer Game Fest event. There are going to be a series of different Steam Game Festival reveals from June 9th to June 14th, as well as a developer showcase on June 22nd. So once again, if the normal schedule stands, and for the moment these are the standout events to look for, although Bungie are probably going to sound the sirens on those when they're ready. Nonetheless though, for everyone who's still interested in Destiny at the moment, while it is a little bit rocky for a lot of players, we are totally going into what is generally the actual exciting part of the year for the game, right? So for the moment, let's hold out some hope there. Now though, let's get into some other game and content updates from Bungie, and something to bear in mind today is that at 9 AM PDT, Bungie have said Bungie.net will undergo maintenance and some of the companion features, as well as the website, will be unavailable, but players may also experience issues claiming rewards from Twitch Prime. A lot of players are reading into this and wondering if there's any significance in terms of a potential reveal this week, and I guess it is possible, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Here though, we have some further conversation and clarification from Bungie community managers on changes that are coming in Season 11 and 12. So somebody said, are we still getting lore on Eververse ships going forward? I thought that wasn't going to be a thing, and DMG confirmed that that does start next season. And so that's one of the things they're doing, removing lore, especially stuff about the wider game world. And DMG had clarified before that this isn't about taking lore out of the game, but more about making sure that it isn't present on Eververse gear and is present on stuff that actually drops via gameplay. Fixie did ask DMG, can you clarify this? And it was a quote from Twab, but if you still need a weapon or weapon role from the current Vanguard, Crucible, or Gambit playlist that isn't on the list, go grab it now. And he said also, will weapons listed on the Season 11 World Pool be retired next June? And DMG said, if there's a weapon currently available from Vanguard, Crucible, or Gambit that's not on the list provided in the TWAB, get it before it's gone, which is an important note for collectors, but also, some weapons will have a new max power level, others will not. He said somebody asked about Dire Promise, and that one's going to have the same max power of any Season 10 weapon. But other weapons that are new to the season, like Nature of the Beast, and that one's going to be updated with random rolls, those are going to have a new power level, and this will be detailed in the weapon UI coming next season. There's more conversation about weapons sunsetting and things like that in a moment, but Sweatcicle did ask if we're going to see any changes to scout rifles or rocket launchers, and this was following Bungie's conversation about sandbox and weapon tuning. And DMG replied that for Season 11, there aren't going to be any changes for either of those weapon archetypes, but they'll continue to pass along the feedback, and wanted to make sure we covered hand cannons and snipers in the future tuning callouts, but we'll make sure to note that scouts and rockets are just as important. And so not changes we can expect next season, but of course there's always time to see them further down the road. On the subject of sunsetting gear, Cosmo did say that we have seen the feedback around build crafting and how players feel that masterworking is going to feel far too expensive if the gear you put materials into becomes no longer infusable later down the road. And he said that they will push that to the team, and then max power levels will be shown in Season 11, but won't actually be reached until Season 12. I totally agree though, it would be good to see some infusion material changes. Maybe we need to get more of them dropped, or have some of the costs reduced, especially since a lot of that gear will be partially redundant later on. Since there has been a lot of feedback about this, DMG had also added that the team are definitely making sure to try and create new and exciting weapons, considering a lot of our pretty powerful stuff will eventually become redundant. But also players pointed out that of course back in D1, we had infusion caps which were then kind of adjusted and moved. And from this week at Bungie that we had before the Dark Below expansion, they said in the months to come, your quest to become more powerful will have more avenues that lead to satisfaction. The last thing we wanted was for you to look at your favorite gun or helmet and decide that it had become obsolete. And the feedback is clear, the time you have invested in your stuff should be respected. And it's interesting that, of course, Bungie's position on that specifically, or at least in reference to infusion, has kind of changed in this instance, and we have seen both versions of it, right, throughout Destiny's life cycle. Has kind of gone back and forth a little bit. But Cosmo replied that primarily the game has changed fairly significantly in the past 5 years. And obviously the current state of the game wasn't something that Bungie had in mind at the time they said that. It's another thing I would definitely be curious to get thoughts from you guys about, but Deej did point out that a lot of players were passing around an old tweet from 2019, which was actually the pre-Shadowkeep reveal tweet. And essentially a few people on Twitter were trolling, and folks thought there was going to be a new reveal. Of course, it's entirely possible we're going to see reveals around about that time, but bear in mind this is in fact not a legitimate reference to future content. And still we're seeing quite a few poor leaks coming out about future expansions. Conversation about cutscenes, of course the pyramid ships, new enemy races, and a bunch of other stuff when it comes to the fall expansion. We can't absolutely verify anything, but my position currently with a lot of it, and with how much kind of regurgitation of various different leaks is actually going on, the sources for a lot of them remain pretty sketchy to non-existent in terms of reliability, so take stuff with a pinch of salt, guys, although we are not going to have to wait very long at all now before Bungie actually starts showing us this stuff for themselves, so that is going to be something to look forward to, and I will be keeping you posted. A quick shout right here that I wanted to mention, but blueberries.gg is a really useful site that Rick, the site owner, sent over to me, with a kind of actual roadmap of all of the updates and changes that Bungie have spoken about for future seasons in TWAB, so if you want a bit of a visual representation as to when we're going to see various changes, then I will link that one down below, as it's a pretty cool resource. And I really appreciate Rick sending that over. But for today, guys, that is everything we have to speak about, so of course a little bit of new stuff. We're getting those teasers for the next set of content we'll see. But keep it locked and loaded right here on the channel so that I can keep you up to date with the reveals and all that good stuff when we get them shortly. Otherwise, if you have enjoyed this video, a rating below really does help me out, but also give us your thoughts on any of the stuff that we've spoken about down in the comment section. And once again, another shout out to my sponsor Now Drinks. Now Sense is a tasty alternative to energy drinks that's made with natural ingredients instead of being filled with sugar and caffeine, but still helps to improve performance, focus, and memory while gaming. And right now, if you do want to try it out, you can get a massive 30% off by using code Houndish in the store. So if you want more details about that, they'll be in the description box below, and I really do appreciate all the support you guys have shown. And otherwise, as always, I also appreciate you guys tuning in, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.